Hey everybody, welcome to the MMA Heat podcast. I'm Karyn Bryant.
What's up, everyone? Alan Jouban here.
So listen, Alan, if you can't wear your Korean zombie shirt today,
hey,
when
nice.
can
you go.
wear it? My goodness.
That's like one of the originals too, right? Is that like a throwback right there?
It is, because this is from that company Trauma, which I guess wasn't really good, right? Didn't they like not pay everybody? Sorry.
Yeah, well, I remember, I think they sponsored me or one of my teammates one time, but they threw all their money on DC when DC fought in Strikeforce, when he fought the War Master,
Josh.
Josh, thank you. I remember they paid him a crazy amount of money. It was like for a new company, they gave him like 20 G's or something like that.
Right.
And then after that, they went out of business. So DC won, but at the time, DC wasn't that big of a name. So, you know.
Yeah, no, I think I got this literally at one of the, at International Fight Week when they used to have the big convention and everything too. And I remember the guy, and I love this shirt and everything, but I feel a little bit bad because I think I heard that they stopped paying fighters, and a lot of people had I think even some lawsuits with them. But I do love the shirt. So we'll talk about Zombie, we'll talk about Bellator, we'll talk about bare knuckle fighting. It was a big weekend for fight stuff. What was your favorite? What was your favorite thing of the whole weekend? Before we even get into it.
Okay, this is going to sound very crazy, Karyn, but like whenever I teach class on Saturday, I teach Muay Thai on Saturday, and then at the end of class, I always tell everybody, there's this to watch, there's this to watch. Make sure and watch it. Right. Like you said, there was a big weekend for fights: Bellator, bare knuckle, UFC, and I think it might have been some jiu-jitsu stuff. But honestly, deep down inside, I was kind of more excited to see what the hell was going to happen with bare knuckle between Paulie Malignaggi and the GOAT. You know what I mean? So it was a fight. I didn't get to watch live. I watched the highlights, but I was very curious to see the bare knuckle thing. But there was a bunch of good fights, obviously.
But what did you think then? Because I actually saw it as Artem's fight, and it was weird because I'm watching it and I'm there because I was back, after the UFC fights. I'm watching this and I'm like, okay, I know I like Artem a lot. I really do. I like the guy. And I was like, so maybe I'm just being prejudicial, but I'm like, I think he won, right?
Yeah.
And then it was weird because you're like, he shouldn't, not that he shouldn't win, but you expected Paulie to be better. Not better, but he's the boxer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we know that Artem is a brawler. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, I felt like Artem was more of the aggressor. I felt like Paulie was backing up more and looking more for countering opportunities. I felt that Artem was the one pressing the action and stuff. And I was like, I think he won. And then,
Same thing. I thought he won. I thought Artem, the GOAT, excuse me. I'm on board with him, man. I really like him. He's always had a good personality to me. I like him. And Paulie, on the other hand, he's a hard-to-like personality. He is a guy that makes you root against him. But I give him some respect after. He says what's on his mind. I always respect that, even though I don't like a lot of the stuff that comes out of his mouth, including spitting on his opponents and stuff like that. But afterward, in the initial heat of the battle afterward, he was kind of saying, I didn't even get hit. I got hit one time. Meanwhile, he's got 4 cuts on his face.
Right.
But initially, after that, he kind of said, it was a good fight. Respect to both men. I don't think I have it anymore. So you have to respect the guy that brings it and kind of says that he's at the end of his rope, at the end of the road in his career. But yeah, I thought the same thing. It was very interesting to see. I know we're jumping to bare knuckle before the UFC, but we just kind of got the wheels spinning. We talked about this last time, Karyn, about is the bare knuckle thing going to take off? Is it going to implode?
Right.
I'm still curious. I think the jury's still out on this because it's right now they're still able to bring these name recognition guys in. Yeah. Guys from other sports, from boxing versus MMA, name recognition, retired guys. And so it has that draw. It has that mystique because they have the grudge matches. They have the boxing versus MMA. They have the name recognition. If it continues to grow and this becomes a sport where fighters are seeking out bare knuckle, pushing away the other promotions, not taking the boxing, not taking the MMA, and they're only going bare knuckle. But maybe they don't have the name recognition that the Paulies and the Artems have. Is it going to still get the pay-per-view buys? Because this one was, I think Artem and Paulie got paid a huge amount of money from what I'm hearing. I'm hearing they got paid very, very well, bigger than some of the other paydays in their career. And it's because the draw that they bring in, the grudge match, the fan base that they have. They're not going to be able to continue doing that every time. I don't think Paulie's fighting ever again. I think he was a one-hit quitter kind of thing. Artem can continue to do it, but he's one of the biggest stars in their sport. And think about that. Artem, who was a fun guy to watch in the UFC, but he was not a name.
Right.
He was somewhat of a name because of Conor, but he's a huge name in the bare knuckle boxing. So it's interesting, but when you have fights like that, it entices me. It makes me want to come in and see it. So the jury's out. I'm curious to see what will happen on that. But yeah, I thought Artem held down the MMA boxing very well for us. But last thing on this, I know I'm talking my head off. Sorry, Karyn. It is a different sport. It's curious to say we're going into a boxing ring and we're only boxing with hands, so the boxer should have the advantage.
Right.
But the boxer's used to 10, 12-ounce gloves. Well, we're used to 4-ounce gloves. It's totally different. The parry and the cover and the slipping. Also, we're going 2-minute rounds. So it's more of a sprint than a marathon. And there's allowed to clinch, where boxers always get away with being able to hug or get a break, where now you have the clinching involved, which gives the MMA fighter an advantage. So there's advantages on both sides of the sport, wherever you're coming from. But guys are starting to evolve in this sport, and they're starting to use blocks. And like if you punch a raw fist, hit an elbow, your hand is messed up. And so now you can think about guys hitting these tough objects like your shin, your forearms and your elbows that before they didn't really have to worry about as much. So it's a sport that's evolving and it's interesting. I don't know where I'm at on it yet, but I'm tuning in if there's more fights like the one that we had last weekend.
Yeah, it's hard not to watch Paulie and Artem because of all the build-up between them. And I really like Artem, like I said, and I find him to be an entertaining guy. And I really, I actually hated that he was fighting so soon after that last fight, though. I mean,
I know. I didn't know if he was going to be able to.
Yeah, and I wrote him a note after. I'm like, dude, congrats. Like, I'm happy for you, but I hate seeing you like that. Like, he was torn up after that fight with Jason Knight, so the fact that he was already fighting so quickly, I was a little nervous. I didn't know how he would get busted up. And I think actually Artem wore it pretty well. And to your point, having that experience with smaller gloves, maybe his face is just tougher. I don't know. But the thing that I did notice in that fight, which we always notice, is, Artem does have a reach deficit, let's just say. And that's the one thing, about that fight. I felt like the whole time, every punch was like lunging and reaching. Paulie does have good movement, and I felt like he was able to make Artem miss a lot, but when he connected, he was able to damage Paulie. And the thing I want to ask you about, though, because remember, or maybe you didn't see, but like a little while before the fight, Rumble tweeted out like, oh, there's a rumor going around that Paulie was putting like plaster in his gloves, and then they turned out it was this whole thing with like some Vaseline or something on the glove. Like, I didn't even really hear the whole story of what they said they thought he was doing, but I'm sitting there, I was like, oh, come on, dude, like you can't cheat. And then also like that looks bad if the boxer is trying to cheat against the MMA guy. I'm glad they, sort of figured out that it really wasn't anything, but I was like, oh, come on, man, you got to make sure at least this fight happens.
I heard that rumor. I was curious about that. It's interesting that it was Rumble Johnson that tweeted it out because he's somehow entangled within this organization, correct? He works with them. Maybe he kind of thought of it as, you know what, it's going to get more eyes on the sport. It's going to get more, because it piqued my curiosity. But yeah, when it's an open knuckle, now they're wearing a little bit of a support right here, which is a very good thing, because it's more about not the swelling or the surface of the knuckle, but it's about condensing all these small muscles so that they don't break. And so they can condense these and compress them. It's going to make them a little bit stronger, make it one bone, so to speak, rather than a bunch of small bones floating around. Then they're just taking a little bit of like superficial type damage on the front. But there's no way to hide anything if you're putting something on there. Obviously, like you said, maybe it was something else. But it is weird that that Johnson was the one that posted it, and maybe it was some type of old boxing trick that Paulie was doing. Some type of old thing. Put a little grease or something. I don't know why you would put grease on the knuckles, because then it's going to slip off and not cut. But maybe he was up to something there. I don't know.
And here's the thing. I can't remember what Artem said at the end. Was it just that he said he needed to take some time, because with his little baby and stuff? Or was he saying he didn't want to do it anymore?
Artem?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't. I feel like he would just want. I didn't see that part, but from what I gather from the whole event, he's a star in the sport.
Totally.
He's now won all his fights, and he's
Right.
making great money, and he's the biggest name. They're going to keep
For
offering
sure.
him a bigger payday, and he doesn't really have a career outside of it as far as
Yeah.
MMA. So I can't see him not doing it again. But I would take time, as you said. He went through that war his last fight with
Totally.
Jason Knight, and now he went through another one, got a big payday, got a big
Yeah.
victory over a former champion boxer. Take time off. On the other side of it, Paulie, he realized that sport isn't for him, and you know, coming out of retirement and already kind of letting your guard down somewhat, and then coming in and going through that type of gritty battle. Yeah, he realizes, look, I'm trying to ride off into the sunset, you know, get paid and get out of here.
Right. Well, it was entertaining. But to your point too, like, I don't know about the growth potential for this, right? Because there were still some things with some people not getting paid. I'm not sure which organization, but also, like you said, it's I don't know that people are ever going to go directly into bare knuckle boxing, right? So you're always going to get maybe a formerly this or a used to be that. And there
at a
is some
different
appeal
point
to it,
in their career.
Right, but I don't. Yeah. But I also feel like every night I don't want to see Chris Lieben on every card. You know what I mean? I don't want to see the same guys taking repeated damage on the same card. So
yeah,
or card after card. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know the potential of it. I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm still curious to see it. It's funny though, because I hear people saying, "Did you watch it?" So people are watching it.
People watch
and it. People watch and I was curious to watch it. I saw DC, Daniel Cormier, went out there, and look, this is what I think on it. Daniel's like, hey, I got a friend asking me where to find it. Can anybody help him out? Daniel, you wanted to find it, bro. You were trying to find it. You didn't want to pay the $40. I didn't want to pay.
Nobody wanted to pay.
Yeah, who wants to pay $40 for some bare knuckle boxing? It's not like it's not up there yet. It's not valued at that yet. So yeah, I was looking for that free stream as well, Daniel. It's all good, man. You could say it.
I was gonna say it seems like it's more in the spirit of the sport anyway to bootleg it.
Yeah, just bootleg it. I mean, that's what it is. It's a bootleg sport at this moment. It's still in the beta process of it. But I get it. Daniel Cormier, you're tight with your money. So am I, man. I get
right.
it.
Yeah. For the record, we're not endorsing stealing, folks.
Yeah. No, we're not. We're not going through that whole thing that's happened already. But I'm just saying, I know what you were doing, Daniel Cormier, and people were providing a lot of links because of your comment, and so I was looking through the links, Daniel Cormier.
Exactly. But that was fun. But before that, obviously, the same night, we had, we'll go in reverse order there. So we had Zombie knocking out Renato Moicano in the main event at UFC Greenville. And I literally, I even tweeted this out, like, you know, because we have our desk, you know, over up in the arena. So it wasn't a huge arena, but, you know, we were up with our ESPN desk, like up high in the area, in the arena rather. And so he throws that first punch, and you could hear it all the way up in our desk. Like, it was like, oh my God, you know? And then just the follow-up gets him done so quickly. I feel bad for Renato. You know, we've had that whole discussion before about, like, is it better or worse to, like, lose quickly or whatever? But Zombie, like, I wanted to watch them fight each other more. You know what I mean? I was like, on the one hand, I was like, I kind of felt like ripped off because I thought they would have a competitive fight. But then again, when Zombie comes out and just blasts like that after, you know, we all know the Yair Rodriguez thing and just the last minute heartbreak of him losing that fight, but came out man on a mission like that. It's perfect. It's like a perfect performance.
He is impressive, man. The Korean Zombie. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to talk and walk on this one. My dog is crying his eyes out at the moment. So let me let Bodie outside. You better not be faking this, Bodie, because we live, baby. We live. Get out of there.
But you don't want to have a bulldog accident in the house.
That's what I'm a little worried. I was like, you know what? I don't want to clean anything up. But Korean Zombie, man, it's like when you watch his striking, he's super smooth. He's super good at what he does. But like you don't see the super technical polished kickboxer in him. Right. You don't see, you know, this professional boxer. You see like a pure MMA fighter in him. And he has mastered the art of like the distance and range with his striking. He's so good. That last fight where he got caught with the elbow, he was winning that fight, obviously, against one of the best strikers in the UFC, Yair Rodriguez, or at least creative strikers in the UFC. But man, that punch. Are you seeing me okay? I just want to make sure everything's normal again.
Yeah,
oh,
you're good.
I lost you there. Hold on. There we go. Okay. What I keep messing up. Sorry, guys. Here we go. What he did when he slipped and threw that overhand right, it was beautiful. I had to watch it a couple times in a row because what he did was he timed it and he went underneath it. He changed levels, went underneath the jab and threw that overhand right, and it allowed him to not only slip it below it, go underneath it, but sit down on the punch because now he's putting his weight into his legs. Because I was wondering, how did that one punch do so much damage? You know, how did Moicano's a great fighter, a rangy fighter, a tough guy, but Zombie packs a punch. Zombie packs power. And the other thing that adds to power that we've seen with Conor McGregor is precision timing. Getting those precision accuracy type timing punches. And that's what he did. Moicano was extended with his punch. Yeah. He went right under it and started loading it up before Moicano could start retracting it. Sat down on the right hand, hurt him with it, caught him with the hook, the follow-up hook as well, right? On the way down. Yeah. And, man, every time I watch Zombie fight, I'm more and more impressed. It's for him to walk through such a tough opponent like Moicano. I think it definitely deserves a big fight for him in his next one.
Yeah, he's awesome. That was his 5th straight main event. So that's how you know the dude is money, right? Like we think about Cowboy Cerrone, we think about people that are always main events.
Yeah.
The Zombie is always a main event, you know. It's just the thing is that he just doesn't fight that frequently because he had to go away for military service. Yeah. And then he had a knee injury and stuff. So I feel like the hardest part about being a Zombie fan is that we just don't get to see him fight that often, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but when he does, you know, it is an event. And like we're laughing because I don't know about you, but for the next day and a half, I'm like, zombie. Like you can't help it.
A great walkout song. Totally. It's catchy. Everybody, at least from our age,
everybody knows it.
Everybody knows it. You know, maybe not the youth or whatever. Right. The youth, those youths. The youth. The youth. But you know, everybody from our age bracket, we love that song. We remember that song. And when it comes on, it's like an epic type of walkout song. You know what blew my mind too, Karyn? You were there, so you could speak on this a little bit more. But you're in South Carolina? Yep. And Korean Zombie is, it's like he's in his home country.
Totally.
He's huge over there. The crowd is erupting. They're chanting his name in freaking South Carolina. I thought that was amazing to see that.
Yeah, no, it's wild. And you know, because I was filming their walkouts and stuff. Yeah, because it is cool. And Renato had a great walkout too. Had reggae music and like it just, both of their walkouts were awesome, you know, and the crowd was definitely into it. But yeah, you look around and all of a sudden, yeah, there's Korean flags everywhere and stuff. And like he's the face of fighting for that whole country. So, oh, my phone's ringing. I'm going to have to answer this and then hang up. Sorry, not now. We got dogs, we got phones, we got, but yeah, so he's a big deal. So hopefully now this means that he can fight again more frequently. Literally barely broke a sweat. He came up to the desk with us after, and his trainer Eddie, and like Zombie, like he didn't look like he was in a fight. It looked like a pre-fight interview. And so now, you know, he's like, wants to get up to that title shot. And he's close. I don't know why, you know, you wouldn't give him a really high opponent. He was 12 coming into that. But really, I think it's just because of infrequency of fighting. I think Renato was number 5 at the time or something. So maybe he'll switch and jump up there. They say Aldo just signed a new contract. Maybe they would have a rematch or something. I don't know. But Zombie is it, man. That was great.
I think the UFC could not be happier with a guy like Zombie as well because we talk about just putting on great fights, and he is guaranteed action every time he fights. But when we think about the UFC right now and where we're at with them, we're talking about building international stars, and that's what the UFC is always focused on, expanding the brand and building their fan base overseas. And we're starting to get that a lot more. Obviously, we've spoken on this show numerous times about the big African push right now with Usman and all these other guys doing so great, style bender. And we've got the Khabib, we've got the Conor McGregor, who's kind of one of the first guys, aside from Brazil, but the first guys to like bring an entire country with them. But now, man, and they just opened the huge headquarters over in China, the training facility, and they're making a big push in Asia. And now we have the Korean Zombie that he's always been a star. But like I said, again, I'm touching on this again, but he's in South Carolina. The fans are chanting. He has that allure, that star quality. Did you see the camera cut? I felt like these were actors or something. The camera cut to these girls, and they were like crying. They had on, it was like the Beatles, Karyn. The Beatles were performing. They had on the shirts. They were shaking. They were crying. They cut back to the Korean Zombie. He's like kind of like a handsome guy. He's like charismatic. Sure. And I was like, this is amazing. This is amazing. This guy is coming over here in a place where you might be like, oh, who's this Korean guy? But they love him. They love him. And I love him for it. I think the UFC absolutely is in love with him. He's helping the brand. He's a fun fight, and he's good for doing the international market. So I'm excited to watch him fight, man. Great things to come for this guy.
Yeah, no, he's money. For those folks out there that have teenage daughters or younger tweener daughters, maybe they know the group BTS. It's this Korean pop group. And it's like It's like BTS just got there and the girls are freaking out. It's funny,
Yeah, I say they kill it. I've never heard one of the songs, but what I mean is anytime they enter a room, the room just, the spotlight is on them. It doesn't matter if it's Tom Cruise or Will Smith in a room. BTS or whatever the name is, man, they take the energy out of the room.
They do. Well, it was a fun night. Co-main event, Randy Brown got a TKO, I believe it was, over Bryan Barberena. And, we've talked about Brian before, that he's an entertaining guy, and he's a guy that's always going to get, or maybe not always, but a lot of times he's going to get a featured spot, a spot where there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on him because he delivers. He's an exciting fighter. The fight with Vicente Luque was amazing. This fight with Randy was great. But I feel like, Brian just takes too much damage, right, to give. Like, it's fun to be in those... or it's fun maybe to get the 50 G's, but you don't want to be in the fight of the night, right? You want to be the performance of the night. And Randy was talking about how, people were doubting him and he's been out for some time. But I really thought in that fight he used his length. He's a tall, lanky guy, long arms, long limbs. I thought it was a good performance for him. Barberena's got to learn to, I guess, not take as much damage, try to give without getting so much, because you can't be in those kind of fights too many times.
You can't. Everybody's built a little different. Some people have thicker skulls. Some people have thicker bone density. But everything wears down. It's like a car. Eventually the brakes have to be changed and so on and so on. And I think we're starting to see this in Barberena. He's been in a couple wars. It reminded me of the Chris Lieben Anderson Silva fight, the very first fight in the UFC for Anderson Silva, where Chris Lieben should have been knocked out. Any average human being would have been knocked out, but his skull is so thick and he is so tough that he just won't go unconscious, but he's out on the feet, and he just keeps sustaining damage. We saw that in Barberena in his last fight against Luque. He took a tremendous amount of damage, and as you just said, we talked about it on this show, this is one of those fights that take a bit out of you. And we see it now, the residual outcome from that tough war against Luque in this fight with Randy Brown, where he took some good shots, but maybe the Barberena a year ago might have been able to continue. But this one, he was out on his feet. He's so tough, such a tough guy, that he doesn't really go unconscious that often.
Right.
But he's out. He's out on his feet. He was taking damage. I felt for the guy because I know his family was there. His kids were there, I believe they said, and he wanted to win in front of them, and he didn't want to give up in front of them, and he didn't give up. No. But those type of fights are very tough on you. I felt the effects of him being in a bunch of fight of the nights or fun fight, barn burner type fights. You feel the effect from him. You can't do him too long. So, moving forward, it's tough. His style, I'd say he needs to maybe change his style, but that is his style. That is why he has success. Right. That is why he's in the UFC. That is why we know his name, because he does that. But the one thing that he can maybe use, which you've seen it in the past against Sage Northcutt, is he has a ground game. Yeah. He has a ground game. Try to get these guys to the ground. Try not to sit there and take so many punches. Maybe make a little change in his game, because fun fighter, but you can't go through those type of losses too frequently. Yeah,
for sure. My other fight of the night went to Deron Winn and Eric Spicely. Now they were the first fight. And Deron Winn, of course, is DC's teammate, and people got to know him as one of the assistant coaches on The Ultimate Fighter. Eric Spicely was on The Ultimate Fighter a while back. Actually was in the UFC, then was out, then was back. That fight was fantastic, and I'm bummed that there weren't more people in the arena because it was the very first fight. There was some, but they threw down bell to bell. It was ridiculous, and people look at Deron and they think he can't be a middleweight because he's not that tall and stuff like that, but he's effective. and he was dropping bombs all over. I don't know what Spicely's chin is made of. I even asked him, he's like, I think it's made of concrete. Like, I don't know. Those two went back and forth. Eric was throwing down as well. Like, you know, he landed some good knees once he would get that clinch because he did have like the advantage with the knee and everything. But my God, Deron was just throwing. And he said afterwards, he's like, look, I know people are going to say I'm too small for this division or whatever. He's like, you know, right now it's working. I'm going to keep it here at 85. And if something comes or if I realize I can't hang and this and that, then I'll talk about going down to 70. But he's like, but I don't need to right now. This is working for me. And you could see the AKA like breeding on him. Do you know what I mean? The way he fought 100%. And everything. And I was like, dude is killing it right now. I was at his last fight at the Forum too, when he was in Bellator. I'm just like, I'm psyched for Deron. That was a hell of a performance. And they got fight of the night. The first fight of the evening got fight of the night.
Good for him, man, because you don't see that happen that often. And when you said it, when you could see the AKA influence on his fighting style, the first time I've ever seen him fight was when you said it at the Forum or that fight in LA. Yeah. He looked like a mini DC. I mean, he went out there looking like DC, like he had just watched him for so long. Yeah. I felt like he was a little bit more of himself, his own style this fight, and we saw that, and he looked tremendous. It's funny, when I first put on the podcast on the app, Karyn, I put on the Spanish version at first, and I don't speak Spanish, and it was saying, you know, the Spanish stuff, and then all of a sudden here, Mike Tyson, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. They're comparing him to Mike Tyson because he's got that short, compact, swing, big punch thing, and I thought that was hilarious. That was the first type of example that they brought up on him. Right. But he does it. He goes for broke. He has to cover long distances as Mike Tyson. He's always going to be the shorter guy. He has to leap in there with big punches and make a name or establish his respect. Right. The one thing, you just touched on it, he needs to clean this up because this isn't going to work in the 85 division, is that clinch. You cannot let people get the full plum and think that I'm just going to eat it on the chin every time. Eric Spicely was throwing it. He was throwing knees. He had the plum. He had the clinch. He was throwing the knees. They were touching the chin. But he just wasn't quite a knockout kneer, a knockout clinch guy. You get an effective kneer on there, an Anderson Silva type guy, an Overeem. I know he's heavyweight, but somebody that knows how to distribute the power into the knee, breakaway elbow, knee, elbow, play that game. Yeah. He is going to get tore up. And so I'm not trying to take a shot on Eric Winn. Right. He looks phenomenal. But clean that up. You cannot just say, I'm going to take a knee to the chin to deliver a punch and play that game for very long. Fortunately, he does have a chin. He showed it. But every time he allowed that clinch to happen, that's the big no-no when you're talking clinch game. Do not allow somebody to do that to you. The one thing that he did good, he kept his posture. When you're in the clinch, the one thing you don't want to do is break posture. He's short enough and strong enough to keep his posture, but nonetheless, the knees were touching the chin every time, and I'm just waiting for him to drop. He's just tough as nails.
Yeah, and to be fair, Eric took that fight on 6 days' notice. So
holy crap, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because that was the third opponent. Deron was supposed to have 2 different opponents before, and so that was the thing. Is like, if Spicely, not that he went all 3 rounds and was, you know what I mean? But, like, that was a last-minute fight for him. Wow. So, yeah, that just even kind of backs up your point a little bit more, that Deron's just going to have to be prepared for somebody to be able to do that even more effectively against him and be ready.
If I'm in the 85 division right now and I watch that fight and I'm a potential future opponent of Eric Winn, I'm clinching and kneeing all day. We're working that. We're working finishing knees. I'm working on following through with the knee, through the target, going to the elbows, off balancing with the clinch. Eric did a good job, but like there's levels to the clinch, and guys with next level clinch could have put Winn away. That's all I'm saying. But great fight by Winn. Great fight by both guys. Eric Spicely, 6 days notice, toughing it out. Fight of the night. Good for him getting that bonus.
For sure. I was very excited for Ashley Yoder and Meatball Molly McCann. Those two both had great wins. Ashley was so dominant in her win against Shuri Kondo. Really was like the first. She had like a couple of, I think 30-24 cards or something like that. So she just looked awesome out there. Right. Really psyched for her. And Molly and Ariane Lipski, like, that was a very competitive fight. I thought Molly's really evolving. People used to think she was kind of just more of a brawler. And she is really just putting things together. She's so much heart and so much passion. The crowd was starting to chant Meatball. Like, you're talking about the zombie being there. This woman came all the way over from England to Greenville, South Carolina, and people are like, Meatball! ball, me,
Oh, really?
ball. Like
They
the
were
whole
splitting
arena
it.
was
Nice.
going, yeah, man, it was
Yeah.
great. Like it was really fun. She's such a likable girl. I thought those two had great performances. You know, Andrea Lee was victorious over Montana De La Rosa. I wasn't like as fired up about that fight. It didn't like get me as like, I mean, it was good, you know, but it was all right.
Yeah.
But I thought the other two women's fights were a little more entertaining.
Yeah, I saw some of that fight. The Andrea Lee, the
Andrea
Lee
Lee,
fight.
yeah.
Yeah. She looked good, man. She looked good. She's
Right.
she seems to be well rounded everywhere. She has a really good sprawl. She's not scared to get in the guard position,
Right,
and lay down some ground and pound, and she has an effective striking. And she's an athletic girl. You can see the muscle structure
very
on her,
strong. Yeah.
where she's almost got like that somewhat of like a Holly Holm build. That if she can keep training her body and getting stronger and getting leaner, she could have that type of musculature to really make an impact in girls on the fighting. When she gets a hold of girls and when she sprawls, she's like hitting a wall. It looks like. So big things for her as well.
And Jairzinho Rozenstruik, this dude with the 9-second knockout. Like,
oh my God!
We were like, what? That's not a what? That was a knockout punch? Like what? And poor Alan Crowder, he's the dude that lost to Greg Hardy in Brooklyn, but he ended up getting the win because it was the illegal knees.
Oh,
and so like this guy
was.
can't catch a break. Like he comes out, gets illegally kneed in his first fight. Second fight, gets a 9-second knockout. It's like, oh my God. But yeah, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, I guess he's the first fighter from Suriname in the UFC. I guess the president of Suriname called him. I think Tyrone Spong was walking out with him, who was like a great, fighter from Suriname as well. But I was like, that's not a knockout punch. What just happened out there?
I kind of thought the same thing, Karyn. He hit him with a jab. I mean, obviously, a stiff jab when you walk into it has a big effect. We've seen it before. A great example would be Cowboy Cerrone when he took down Barboza with a jab and then choked him out. So a stiff jab, a well-timed stiff jab, it can hurt you because it's a stiff jab. That's what it is. It's like walking into a wall. It's not like a pop. It's like you're just running into something that doesn't move. And that's what it was. But God damn, I mean, I didn't expect it to knock him out like that. I was like, I watched it over and over. Like that knocked him out. So, I don't know how well his chin is, but it just shows that there's some power, some toughness, and I don't remember the guy from Suriname. What's his name?
Jairzinho Rozenstruik.
Jairzinho, there you go. But he looks like a beast, and he had Tyrone Spong in his corner. And from that, I was like, okay, this guy might be good. It actually, I didn't get to see the fight live, but was that his debut, by the way? Was that his UFC debut or his second fight? No, I don't
think so. I think he had one other fight.
One other fight. But anyway,
think so. I'm sorry.
When you're
I don't remember.
When you've had one or two fights in the UFC and no one really knows your name quite yet, and you're early on the card, but Dana White gets in when he's in the gym and says, "Did you see that knockout?"
Right.
Look, when I saw Dana White say that, and it said 9 seconds or 8 seconds, whatever it was, I was like, well, shit. I mean, the record is like 7 seconds.
Right.
Who is this guy? I had to go back and watch it.
Yeah.
Man, you talk about didn't break a sweat. That was one of the least amount
the
of
walkout
energy
took longer. Yeah, everything.
I mean, a jab in 9 seconds. That's the least amount of energy you've ever seen. So, congrats to him. I assume he got a bonus.
Yes, he did.
Thank God. I mean, you don't want that guy to get robbed. Yeah.
He and Zombie got performance bonuses, and Deron and Eric got fight of the night. So
Hill got fight of the night.
So
good call.
It actually was entertaining. I had some travel problems that I didn't even actually get to South Carolina until Friday night, so I missed my own show. Thank you, United.
Man.
Anyway. But South Carolina was cool. The people were very friendly, and the fights were great. Of course, earlier in the day, we also had Bellator. Now, I was at work and on the air, so I had to follow that on Twitter. Everybody knows Gegard's our dear friend here, like one of my best buddies in the whole game. So reading what was happening was kind of stressing me out. It sounded like Lovato got rounds 1 and 2 with jiu-jitsu. Like people like, oh, it's like a chess match, and oh my God, they're this, they're that, they're on the ground, they're this, they're this. Oh, Gegard got the reversal. Oh, this, and I'm my phone. I'm like stressing out. I'm at work, and then it sounded like Gegard got 3 and 4, and it sounded like, from what everything I could gather, and then looking at highlights, it looks like Gegard did more damage, but Lovato had more like control over certain situations, I guess. And then it sounded like the 5th round, it was all to play for, and it seemed like it was going okay for Gegard, but then I guess Lovato got a takedown later and then was able to seal it. So I would love to hear more opinions from those who actually were able to see everything, because that's kind of what I was gathering. And so, it's tough because obviously, Gegard's our buddy. Hate to see him lose. Congratulations to the new champ. But it's interesting. I'd love to hear people's opinions on who they thought won the fight.
Well, without having seen it live either, I only got to see the highlights. But, a lot of times you could tell how a fighter really feels if he won or lost by his emotions, obviously, after the end of the fight. And watching the body language and the posture of Gegard Mousasi tells me that the judges made the right decision. I didn't see the fight, but Gegard seemed to be not happy with his performance or not happy with the outcome of the fight before the outcome was announced. And Lovato seemed a lot more hopeful. So that alone tells me that probably was the way you just now broke it down is probably exactly how it went. Watching the weigh-in stare down before this fight, I said, man, Lovato looks huge. I feel Lovato he's so much bigger than, it's okay. I see what's going on there, Karyn.
I didn't say it. I interviewed Gegard and he brought it up. I didn't say it.
He did bring it up. Okay, that's interesting because, I don't know if we're going to talk in code. I can talk in code right now. But looking at it, how old is Lovato? I mean, he's in his mid-30s,
I think he's like 37 or 38 or something,
right? He's like my age around. Right. So, looking at them at weigh-ins, he much bigger body than I remember Lovato sitting next to Mousasi. And then also, I'm just going to throw out a bunch of accusations, guys. I'm going to talk a little bit in
he's
code.
36.
But you get what I'm saying. Okay, 36. Yeah. But his muscles looked very, very pumped. And you guys know what I mean. He had a very pumped feel about his body, which is not natural for people that if you didn't work out.
Yeah, Gegard's younger than he is.
Gegard. But if you don't have a pump on, you shouldn't be pumped. And then if you're about to fight and you're coming up on weight, you shouldn't really have a pump. And for him to be that big bodied and have pump so close to fight time, it made me raise an eyebrow. I was like, wow, I haven't followed Lovato his whole career, so I don't know his body type, you know, to a T. But giving you my 2 cents from my professional opinion, it looked like something was kind of going on. So I was curious. Going into the fight, would the big body, aggressive, the strength and big bodiness and the high level jiu-jitsu be too much for Gegard's slick striking, slick boxing, great at distance control, Gegard Mousasi, and very well rounded on the ground as well? Which one would play a factor? Obviously, the jiu-jitsu and the strength and the pressure of Lovato is too much. But I hate to spoil a fight and throw out accusations.
I know what you mean, though.
But I could not help noticing that how big and muscular and tight his muscles looked so close to fight time.
Yeah, I spoke with Gegard before the fight last week, and he definitely raised an eyebrow too. I know Lovato competes in jiu-jitsu and has a lot of history there, and sometimes we know some people on the jiu-jitsu circuit have extra things.
Well, yeah, they're not getting tested as regimented as we are.
Exactly. So, and I don't know because I don't know Lovato and I whatever, but this is something that, yes, Gegard did bring up and did mention and did question as well. So I don't know if it's the type of thing where they do testing afterwards over at Bellator or if anything would ever arise out of that. Again, like, we don't have any proof or anything like that, but Gegard was a little suspicious before a week before the fight as well.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of reiterate, I don't have a dog in the fight, and I like Gegard too, but I don't have a dog in the fight. But just from a professional fighter's opinion, viewing people, and I know body types, and I know how the body works, and I've been through everything. Yes, I look at two guys and I go, this doesn't look natural to me, and that's just my professional opinion from being in the gym my entire life. I know how body types look, and it did not look natural, especially so close to fight time, especially looking so big and pumped. With that said, excuse me 1 second, got to decline a call right there. With that said, yes, you know what? From my recollection, can you ever remember, Karyn, a time where somebody in Bellator got popped that recent? Like, I guess the Russian guy.
I was going to say, I think a Russian dude did.
Russian guy got like a 3-year ban, I believe. But you don't really see Bellator guys getting popped
right.
that frequently. I know they don't test them as strenuous as they do here in the UFC, but what I'm getting at is I don't think anything would arise from it unless they're really doing a lot of testing. But yeah, you see it now and then, and it does play a factor. It's like watching a racehorse walk out before the fight. Racehorses have different looks and different body types, and you think, all right, this guy's a sprinter, this horse is on something, you know. I hate that I'm comparing my fellow fighters to racehorses, but you notice these things, and it plays a factor in a fight, and it seemed to maybe play a factor in this fight.
Yeah, we'll see. And so, you know, Gegard, though, I had sent him a message after. He's like, oh, I'll be back. And, you know, I haven't actually, like, spoken with him. You know, you want to give him a little time to lick the wounds or whatever. But I think he's, you know, taking it well. I haven't really gotten into, like, his whole thoughts on it. It was just sort of like, hey, champ, sorry, it sucks. Maybe you'll get him next time type thing, you know. So that said, you know, I mean, listen, beating Gegard is a huge deal, right? So it's still something that he should be congratulated on. I just know that, you know, you and other people have noticed some things that maybe gave people pause. I don't know.
Yeah, big win. He's undefeated, I believe. Undefeated and Bellator champion, and a win as a huge feather in your cap with a guy like Mousasi. So
for sure.
I'll be curious to see his future, what's going to happen with him.
For sure. Well, this weekend I'm heading off to Minneapolis. I literally, like, this one kind of gives me a little bit of agita, like the idea of Dos Santos and Ngannou locked in the octagon. Like, literally, like, I'm stressed out for like, I'm excited, and then I'm also stressed out because, like, they're so powerful. I just don't want somebody's head to get knocked off.
Yeah. I feel like I'm more worried for Dos Anjos than Ngannou, because Ngannou is still like a fresh face.
I know he hasn't taken all that damage yet.
Hasn't really been through the damage, but I feel like we haven't really seen him in deep water yet either, Ngannou. And Dos Anjos is a guy that can go into deep water.
Totally.
He could sit there and jab you up. He could box you up. He could throw the power punches. He could take the damage and stay in deep waters as long as the lights don't go out.
Right.
Ngannou, on the other hand, can put the lights out probably better than most people inside of the UFC. So it's an intriguing battle. That's all I can say. It's going to be fun.
I can't even wait. And the last time I saw Junior, you know, it was after his fight with Kane, and he's massive, right? Like, so like, we all know Francis is huge, but Junior is massive too. So I don't think it's going to be some huge size advantage, you know, for one guy or the other. I think it's literally two titans in there that are going to throw down. It's going to be insane. And what's funny is right before them, we got Joseph Benavidez and Jussier Formiga. We got Damian Maia on there with Rocco Martin and stuff. So some fun fights. And actually, Rocco and Junior were on the same card last time, I think, too, and they both won. So maybe they're good luck charms for each other. I think they did. No, that was a different card. Junior was in Phoenix. Never mind. Sorry, my bad. They all get to run together. But anyway, some fun fights. So that's Minneapolis. And then just yesterday, I know we're going to wrap things up here, but yesterday we had a UFC 239 media day here in LA. So we have some new interviews with John Jones, Thiago Santos, Amanda Nunes, and Holly Holm. Those are on MMAHeat.com and also here on the YouTube channel, Karyn Bryant. So they were all great, and like got into some funny stuff with John about like having a bad boys moment when guys come to try to marry. Like, could you imagine trying to show up and date John Jones's daughters at one point? Like, opens the door and be like, oh no.
and he's got his brothers on each side of him. Yeah, I mean. Yeah, the Jones family. You don't want to mess with that family. No,
but so he had a lot of fun things to say, and we were just talking about him sort of like, you know, I think he was misunderstanding me a little bit. I don't mean he's a bad person, but like people like when he's the bad guy more, right? And they just like own it, and he's unapologetic about it, you know? And so we were talking about that, just different stuff. Amanda was amazing. She talks about how she celebrated the win over Chris Cyborg and stuff like that, and she was in such a funny mood. Holly, really great stuff to say about, you know, beating Ronda and like getting past. Remember on UFC Now we were talking about that, like how can you be remembered for something more than just that?
Yeah.
So she gets into that stuff, and Thiago Santos is like talking about like, you know, whether or not he'll be intimidated by John and all the stuff. So it was good. Everybody was chatty and stuff. It was good. So folks should definitely look for that because that's, you know, the weekend after.
Nice. I'll check it out. I'm curious to see. I've been seeing a lot of interviews pop up about John Jones, so I'll be interested to see how you and his conversation went.
Yeah, no, it was cool, and he was in a chatty mood and stuff, and it was cool. It was, we don't get to see him fight that often, so it's always interesting, to catch up with him. So again, those are all on MMAHeat.com. I'm heading out to Minneapolis. I think I'm working with Kamaru and Sugar again. I think so.
Oh wow!
Okay. Yeah. So it'll be fun. So you can follow me, KB Heat, on Instagram, Karyn Bryant, across the board everywhere else, and of course MMA Heat as well. And all of these podcasts are available at MMA.audio. If you prefer the audio download, Alan, where can everybody find you?
Check me out, guys, at Alan Jouban across the board, all social media. Give us a follow.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, folks. See you next time.
Go take care, guys.